My name is Melody, and I did my paper on the effects that Disney princesses have on young girls. A father wrote in an article on how Disney princesses had effect on his daughter, and he said, "My daughter's been infatuated with Disney princesses since she was 3, and she is also now showing some early concerns with body image. It's important for her to look pretty, look cute. She says things like, 'Those sneakers make my feet look fat.'" When I read this is when I decided to actually write my paper on this subject. When I started reading into other stories about what Disney princesses were doing to other young girls, I saw a lot of things about what images they were portraying and their behaviors and how they acted, and then the expectations of love, and that they should have boyfriends when they're young, and that they should be rich, and they only will get that richness from the men that they married instead of trying for themselves. And the image was like, the princesses are beautiful, and they're flawless, and they're skinny, and they're tall, and they really have nothing wrong with them, even if they have dirt on their face. Their hair is always flowing in one way, and humans, they're not perfect. And even me, who I am thin, but I'm short, and I know even if I lost more weight, I would never look like a princess ever. So I think that's the main thing. Growing up, I was always like, man, I really need those dresses, and I really need all the things that they had, the jewelry, the hair. I needed my hair up. I went to the dollar store, and because my mom would give me $1 every once in a while, I'd go in there and I'd buy makeup. I wouldn't buy like coloring books or anything. And I would try to make myself look good. In all reality, unless you're photoshopped, you're not going to look perfect. Your hair's not going to flow one way, and your makeup's not going to be perfect, and your body's not going to be perfect. So I think they set up an ideal that is unrealistic for us as young girls. I wish I would have been able to focus more on being a kid and jumping in those mud puddles and having my hair out of place and not worrying about it, whether or not a boy was looking at it or not. And I wasn't. I didn't need to impress anybody, but I do. And just like this man's daughter, she started at age 3, and I know ever since I started watching Disney princesses, I think I watched Sleeping Beauty first, and she's beautiful, and she has a beautiful voice, and I could never compare to anything like that. So they put that expectation out there for young girls that it's very unrealistic. Paul Castillo, he's an author of an article, and it's called "The Negative Effects of Disney that Disney Has on Children." And it says, Aurora is described as, she's in Sleeping Beauty, is described as an extraordinary, beautiful woman. So young girls will understand, even if not directly told, that this is how they're supposed to strive to look. Not only do girls look at Disney princesses and think they should look like them, but they also think that they should act like them. I remember I grew up trying to be a people pleaser. Of course, I wanted to be obedient to my parents because that's what I believed, but I was like, I would stress myself out trying to please my parents, or trying to please my friends, or trying to please my family members or people at church, and I couldn't live up to that expectation. But I think one of the things, just like Cinderella for an example, she was working for her stepmom and her stepsisters and just basically breaking her back and letting them push her around, which is not right for any girl, because I think it puts this image out there that, oh, we're supposed to be weak and we can't do anything for ourselves. I mean, Cinderella, she was old enough to get married. She could have just gotten out of the house. Why didn't she? And I think, I don't know, I think it's kind of showing young girls that they should just not worry about it and just keep going on with their life, letting things weigh them down instead of trying to get out there and help themselves. Even my nieces, they would always desire to work hard, but they wouldn't work for themselves. They would just do it for other people. And I think that's kind of weighed them down because they can't even go out and do anything that they want for themselves because they're trying to be a dancer like their mom wants them to be, or they want to be working in a cafe because that's what their family started doing. Another sign of weakness is love. And I think this is a big thing because when I was young, on top of trying to be beautiful at a young age, I was trying to look for boyfriends, and I thought they were so serious, and honestly they weren't. And I think growing up just having that idea in my head that, oh, I should look like this, I should do this, I should have a boyfriend. And the only way to have those things are if you get married and you have a husband and he's rich, then you're going to have a happy life. But I think what Disney princesses show is like the only way to be happy is to have that rich man, and he's going to love you forever. But I'm married, and marriage is really hard. I love my marriage, I love my husband, but it's no joyride. And I don't have a lot of money, and I never really wanted a lot of money. But I think that girls think that from those Disney movies that that's how they should be. They should marry that young man who's going to give them everything they need. And it's hard to find unless you're a millionaire or some actual prince who is not actually probably going to give you the love you want. You're not really going to be rich. I thank God that I didn't ever have the desire to be rich, but I know a lot of people are willing to give up their own life just so that they can be rich. They can have this man and they can have that car. I think princesses have really put that out there. Princesses have been around for a long time, and I've loved them ever since I started watching them. But as I grew up and now reading all about this, I say to myself, oh man, those really were problems that I did have in my life. And I've grown out of some of them, but a lot of the things that Disney princesses portrayed to me, I am still taking on, like Image. I think that, oh, I should still look skinny, and even if I gain a couple pounds, I'm going to look bad, but it's not. And I can see that for other people, not just myself.